Good morning and welcome to Northwest Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Tom Ott. I'm today's worship associate. Joining me in today's service are our interim minister, the Reverend Kevin DeBeck, our acting director of religious education, Eva Leventer, our choir director, Ken Hermanot, and the 4 members of the Interim Ministerial Search Committee. Today's technical host is Kathy Henry. If you are a visitor here and would like us to stay in touch with you, please fill out the visitor form you'll find in the chat box. The chat feature has been disabled except for chatting directly with the tech host. If you are having problems with Zoom, use the chat function or the raise hand function in Zoom. You are encouraged to change your name to add pronouns on Zoom. My pronouns are the grammatical set that includes he. To change your name, click on the Participants button at the top of the Zoom window. Next, hover your mouse over your name in the Participants list on the right side of the Zoom window and click on Rename. The announcements today. First of all, there are several things happening here at the church or after church. First of all, if at 11:30 or after the service, there's banter with the board by Zoom. If you want to do that, please stay in the main session room of Zoom rather than going to a breakout room. From 11:30 to 2:30 p.m., there are 2 things at the church. First, the pop-up Christmas rummage sale with Christmas decorations and gift items you can purchase when you come, or even to come separately, to pick up items that you got in the service auction. You can pick them up today in the multipurpose room. And speaking of the service auction, in case you didn't get the wonderful email from Beata this morning, the service auction has made over $29,000, which is more than 4,000 over goal, and it is still possible to buy a few items, board items, on the website through this evening. Also happening today, chatting with the minister, Reverend Kevin will have his chats with the minister on Zoom from 1 to 2 p.m. Upcoming services next week will be the Thanksgiving service. The week after that is a lay-led service by Ariana Abel. There are 2 plate collection, special collections this week or this month. The first is this Thanksgiving basket collection. Since we, due to the pandemic, we won't be packing baskets, so you can donate money that the Southfield Emergency Needs Fund we use to purchase gift cards to give local Southfield families in need. And then our regular 50% shared plate collection this month will go to the Ruth Ellis Center. The Ruth Ellis Center was founded in 1999, and it's established a national reputation for quality and innovation in providing trauma-informed services for lesbian, gay, bi-attractional, transgender, and questioning youth and young adults, with an emphasis on young people of color who are experiencing homelessness, involved in the child welfare system, and/or experiencing barriers to health and well-being.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Kevin DeBeck. My pronouns are he, him, and his. And our chalice lighting this morning comes from the Reverend Paul Sprecher, and he says, "We light this chalice to honor the memory of those who have come before us, kindling flames of wisdom in dark times, willing to challenge orthodoxy even at great personal risk, giving us a legacy of freedom and a love of truth, a legacy that warms our hearts and lights our paths."
Our opening words are "Blessed is the Fire That Burns Deep in the Soul" by Eric Heller Wagner. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit, touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of community, of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love, burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. Our first hymn is number 1003, Where Do We Come From?
Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Life is a rhythm and a mystery. Where do we come from? Life is a rhythm and a mystery. Where do we come from? Life is a rhythm and a mystery. Where do we come from? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
Hello, welcome to Story Time. It's so good to see you today. I would like to start with a story called The World Needs Who You Were Made to Be by Joanna Gaines and illustrated by Juliana Swaney, who happens to be a friend of mine from high school. Today is the day for the ride of our lives, when a confetti of color will fill up the sky. Plenty of pink, a bounty of blue, orange, green, and yellow too. We all play a part, both me and you, as we build our very own hot air balloons. We'll gather supplies and make them our own, and prepare to take flight into the great unknown. It doesn't take us long to see that we all work so very differently. And some of us work side by side, or some of us work alone, and some of us work side by side. Some of us are quiet and like to think things through, and others prefer to chit chat about all we have to do. Some of us think through every possibility before we jump in, and some of us know what we want before we begin. Sometimes we're scientific and rely on our smarts. Sometimes we're creative and lean into the arts. Some of us are resourceful. We like to work with whatever's on hand. And some of us are extravagant. We go big whenever we can. Some of us are teachers and share what we know, but all of us are learners. Together is how we grow. So by now you can probably see how we all work so very differently. We've done our very best and now it's time to fly. See how beautiful it can be when our differences share the same sky? We may not look or work or think the same, but we all have an important part to play. All of us can be kind, compassionate, and gracious. All of us can be helpful, considerate, and courageous. So remember who you are. This is your life to live. Don't ever hold back. You have so much to give. You're one of a kind, and it's so very clear to see. The world needs who you were made to be. And that's the end of our story. Thank you for listening. I would like to share about one of our RE students today, and he sent back a survey about what he's up to, so I'd like to read that. His name is Jonas Quinn Botson. He's 11 years old, and he lives in Oak Park. He loves the color yellow. He loves chameleons and peanut butter cookies. And in his time, he likes to play video games and draw and do drawing. And at church, he's hoping to do hands-on activities like making chemical reactions. Thank you, Jonas. So I hope to see you all again next week. Bye.
Forward through the ages in unbroken line, move the faithful spirits at the call divine. Give
When I did my interim training back in October, one of the things that they told us of the tasks of the interim minister is to get the people in your congregation talking about your church's history. Now, perhaps some of you are wondering, with all the work that needs to be done between now and spring of 2023, why are we taking the time to have these discussions? Well, the main reason is that as you all start having discussions about the qualities you wanted your next settled minister, it's good to reflect on the leadership you've had in the past and figure out what worked well and maybe what didn't work so well. It's a lot like starting a new relationship. If one doesn't know themselves very well, then the new relationship might not work well either, or at its extreme become dysfunctional. Now, another benefit of having these discussions is that you will have an oral history of the congregation. So as time marches on, there will be a living record of you all as you go through this time in history and beyond. Future generations will know who you are, who you were, and who you wanted to be. This is why I've invited the transitions team here today to demonstrate to you all what this is going to look like. Now, the team will be contacting you as many as possible over the next few weeks to schedule these discussions, both Zoom and in person, and we're working on those logistics. Now, the questions that we have all agreed upon that will serve as a springboard to these larger conversations, I'll tell you about them momentarily. And I, for one, am excited to learn more about you all and the history of the congregation. Now, these questions that we've developed, these are not the end-all be-all, but these are where we want the discussions to start. And of course, once people start talking, then the ideas and the memories start to flow, and it becomes this wonderful thing. So here are the opening questions in no particular order. What year did you start attending Northwest? What do you recall about the ministers who served during your time at Northwest? And since you began attending Northwest, how has the church changed, focusing more on community than the building or other infrastructure? So the members of the transition teams are as follows, again, in no particular order: Karen Queck, Jake Myers, Diana Kohler, and Linda Gobeski. In the interests of time, they have all written their answers today, or written their statements today, but this will not be the expectation when we have these discussions. Once we have all talked with as many of you as possible, we will be creating a digital timeline of the congregation that will eventually be posted it'll be posted on the church website and also on the church's YouTube channel. This way, the history will become a living, breathing thing that can be visited at any time, as well as giving your next settled minister an idea of the church's history from those who lived it. I look forward to doing these interviews with you all, and I hope you all enjoy this process as well. So to get us started, I now throw it to Karen Queck.
Hi, Karen Queck, and I started attending Northwest. We became members in 2015. I had found the church in 2012 doing a Google search for a support group. Kimmy ran the group with about 5 or 6 people, and they were surprised when I showed up, wondering how I found them. But I attended that group every week for 3 years, and never really expressed interest in attending church, and Kimmy never pressured me. And then our daughter started middle school after attending a small Montessori school. So it was quite an adjustment, and she was struggling. And Kimmy suggested that we bring her to church. That was the day that we first attended. They were going to be talking about the canvas. And she said, don't even pay attention to any of that, money stuff. But I was raised in a church that we had several tithes, and it was they weren't very transparent with their money. We were commanded to give, at least 10%. And so it was refreshing when we heard about the canvas, that the transparency of what the church does with the funds they collect. And I never saw Kimmy riding on a private jet. So that's when we began pledging and became members. But yeah, our daughter had She actually went to Columbus General Assembly with me. And then the following year, she had met some friends. She went to New Orleans at 16 by herself. And our kids went through the OWL, Our Whole Lives Human Sexuality program, and the mentorship. So, and then although they're 18 and 20 now, they currently don't attend. The church had a big role in the values and principles that I know they'll carry with them throughout their lives. Although Kimmy's the only minister that we've known since attending, and we felt she really instilled a sense of community, or maybe that was there before her. But anyway, the Google search found me a place that feels like home. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Jacob Myers. My pronouns are he, him. And I'm pretty sure I became a member of the church in 2018, but I've been coming to Northwest for about 6 years, tagging along with Alex, the pianist. And honestly, I had no intention or interest of finding a church community, having not attended a church since I was a child. Mostly, I just came and did schoolwork, having just started graduate school. And after several Sundays sitting in the atrium, various people started asking me to help out with small tasks. Moving tables and chairs or helping set up for various events, I felt useful and began building relationships. Small conversations with greeters like Linda or Mary and early attendees like Ray and Tom turned into increased engagement from me, and I dropped my biology book and volunteered to assist more. I joined the services and listened to our petite minister talk about a variety of topics with an inquisitive mindset, a refreshing change from my past experience with ministers and religion in general. It helped that she had already befriended me by checking in each morning and requesting me, I thought I'd do it, and requesting me to help in the sanctuary. Kimmy made the space feel welcome. I know. Thank you, Diana. And made me rethink my need for spirituality. I didn't realize I needed this, and I didn't realize I needed this space. Services helped me be kinder to myself, and helping the church on Sundays gave me a task to keep me busy. I slowly went from table mover to working with religious education because, again, I was asked. You see, there's a trend here. This time by Jan Price, our previous director of religious education. I'm not sure how Jan got me to agree to the OWL program, which Karen mentioned, but I'm glad she did. It's really something I love doing. I love teaching. I just didn't know I'd love teaching sexuality education. And she was another part of the experience here that made it feel welcome while giving me more purpose in the church community. From my perspective, the church has always been about relationships, and Kimmy was the one who really established that in my mind. She has always felt like a friend, and I miss interacting with her at Soups on Tuesday, cooking dinners at our service auction event, and helping with sound for the Sunday worship. Which is not to say that I also didn't view her as a spiritual leader, because she has helped me many times with pastoral care through the years. I see our past minister as a leader by example, an example which can be seen out in all of our members. I remember fondly my time working with Diana when Kimmy was out on sabbatical. Just a second. She had become a fast friend as we stumbled through keeping services running during Kimmy's absence and still providing exceptional lay-led services. I think this is a good example of how we've persevered without a minister, and also while we were missing our minister until Reverend Kevin was able to join us. This church has provided me with so many friends and wonderful interactions. It's really become a family. At this point in time at Northwest, I'm no longer being asked to volunteer. Well, that's not exactly true. But now I'm more often asking others to help the church, which is why I'm here today. I look forward to talking with you during the oral history exploration to find our past and to find out where we'll go next. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Diana Kohler. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm grateful to Jake for leading the way so that I don't have to feel uncomfortable if I cry. I began attending Northwest in 1974. I was 24 years old, new to Detroit, and had no family or friends in the area except for my then husband. I had outgrown the theology of my Methodist upbringing and sought out a UU church for its theological openness, and Northwest happened to be the one closest to home. I've known every minister who has served this congregation. I am grateful to Frank Gentile for introducing me to so many new ideas, and I still occasionally hear his voice in my head. But when I started attending, Frank was not writing his sermons down, and they were long and rambling, and sometimes you had to work hard to hear those kernels of wisdom. When he started writing his sermons, I think they got much better and significantly shorter because he actually wrote them in advance. The ministers between Frank and Kimmy had less of an impact on me than all of you have. I thought about what I could say about them, and I really feel that the impact was more from the congregation than from those who led it. Kimmy's warmth, approachability made her a friend as well as a minister, and she was so good at challenging and encouraging us to grow and become better. And I often hear her voice in my head. Northwest has changed dramatically since I arrived. Back in the 70s, we, including me, were better at articulating what we weren't than what we were. The wounds of the Vietnam War were still fresh. There was a vast cultural and generational rift in our country, kind of like there is today. Most of us really didn't want to be associated with the establishment, and our congregation and the way we functioned reflected that. We were so certain that we weren't religious. Our services then included a lot of experimentation in style and content that, in retrospect, seems contrived, with novelty being far more important than substance. I think today our use of spiritual themes over a month helps us dig deeper into specific topics. In my early days here, I heard over and over again, you can believe anything and be a UU. Today, we are much quicker to cite our principles as what unites us. I also heard, we don't have any rituals here except for coffee hour. Now, I don't know what lighting the chalice every week was, but we had a lot of other unacknowledged rituals. We were just so uncomfortable with traditional religious language that we couldn't call them that. I believe we are more mindful and work very hard to welcome and integrate newcomers today. For my first couple of years here, except for my participation as a Sunday school teacher, I often felt like I was outside looking in, kind of like the kid with the nose pressed up against the window. I hope that anyone who wants to build connections here today finds an easier way in. Really memorable to me are our early business meetings, which were so contentious in the past that every time I left a meeting, I wondered why I wanted to stay. I remember vividly one moderator resigning not only the moderatorship, but his membership to the congregation in the middle of the meeting because it was so contentious and rude. We've gotten significantly better since then, but I think we still could improve on our ability to disagree without being disagreeable. Although Northwest members have always been politically active, I think our congregation is more outwardly focused today. We partner with other organizations to make a difference in the lives of others and try to maintain and deepen those relationships. Perhaps your experience and perceptions are really different from mine. Only with our collective voices can we create an accurate picture of Northwest across its history. So I look forward to hearing from some of you. I am proud of how we've evolved, becoming more welcoming and inclusive, learning from our missteps as well as from our successes. And I look forward to our shared future and to working with you all to create an even stronger Northwest.
Good morning. I'm Linda Gobeski, and my pronouns are she, her. And I started attending Northwest in 1986, but I actually signed the book in 1987. But that means that I started coming when Frank had been gone for 2 years. He had a very untimely or sudden death. And Michael had been here, had just come, really. Michael Boblet was the minister that was called after Frank's death and after the interim Vernon Nichols. I didn't know Vernon at all. I arrived here because I was looking for a place to bring my daughter to church because I had checked out churches in my neighborhood, and the message didn't resonate with me, and I'm sure everybody knows what that means. But he suggested I come here because unbeknownst to me at the time, Frank Gentile, Jim was married before, and Frank Gentile had performed his first wedding here at Northwest, and he thought I would like this church. Well, he was right. I knew people that were here, surprisingly. I met somebody that I worked with at Wayne. I met somebody that worked with my father, so I felt really like I had come home. So what I remember about Michael Boblet is that he was young and he was alone. And he was from California, so he didn't have a lot of friends in the neighborhood or, well, in the area. And we ended up inviting him over for dinner a couple times, and we had him over for Thanksgiving dinner once or twice, and I got to know him a little bit. I served on his committee on ministry, and that helped me even get to know him better. And I think that he was a lonely person and not sure of himself or who he was. And he did kind of like to do things his own way. He was real smart, he was philosophical, and I was intimidated by that persona. But nonetheless, I enjoyed the church. I enjoyed the message of UU. It resonated with me, and I stuck around. Jim joined the church in 1991, so we came as a family. I think Michael had a rough go of it for a couple of reasons. One of them being that he was an introspective person and Frank was very socially outgoing. And when I look through my own retrospectoscope, I can see that probably the congregation was needing to work through a lot of the issues around Frank's long-term ministry here and his sudden death. So that being said, Michael left after 5 years, and our interim minister was Ann Bueller. And I don't really remember much about Ann. I know that I felt she was kind of a placeholder. She was here for a year, and in all fairness to Ann's ministry, I had another child, so now I had 2 young children. I was going to school and I was working, so I was pretty busy. I stayed involved though. I taught RE, I helped with the St. Leo Soup Kitchen, so that kept me integrated into the community, which was really important. And And that was Ann Bueller's time here. And then in 1993, Lisa Presley was called to be our minister. And I have to say that she brought so much more energy to the church that I had experienced with previous ministers, and that was very refreshing to me. And she was very, provided us with a lot of pastoral care. I mean, our family in particular. She helped us through some difficult times with our daughter, and she even watched our dog as we were getting ready to move to Dayton. And so that was really, her smiling face was a welcome change for me. I joined the Air Force in 1994, and we came back here in 1998, and Lisa was still the minister, and but she left in 2001, and Katie Satherstein was the interim. And Katie was very friendly and outgoing, and I enjoyed her sermons, I think. They weren't remarkable, but that's okay. I mean, again, I was busy working, and I was not as involved as I am now. So in 2002, when we called Kimmy, I have to say that right away I felt her ministry speak to me, and she was amazing. She valued relational ministry, educational ministry, and pastoral care. And with her leadership, we built the sanctuary, but she started a lot of support groups. She had interesting classes for adults. She helped us reorganize the Board of Governors, and we adopted a more positive attitude as a congregation for the need for growth and development in this community. We became a welcoming congregation, and that started us on our journey to anti-racism as a spiritual path. Kimmy taught us how to provide pastoral care to each other by providing it to us. So with these memories and experiences of the different minister styles, it's reminded me that really the message of the UU was strong through all those ministries, and the community was exceptional. I mean, I just feel like this is my extended family, even through all the different styles of ministers. We integrated easily enough. I mean, I know Diana had alluded to it feeling a little like you were a person looking in from the outside, and I agree, that's how it felt initially. But Kimmy really worked hard to dismantle some of that, and I think we're doing a pretty decent job. Today, I feel like we are much more focused on Unitarian Universalism in our community and not just within these four walls, and to me, that's really important. We have continued with support groups and affinity groups, making sure that everyone feels welcome to attend. And again, that message is so important, and I think Kimmy really role modeled that for us every day, just with her warmth and compassion. And I know I learned a lot from her for that, and that's why I think it's important to do this work so we know and we can talk amongst ourselves about what we want to see in our future and where we want to go. So look for a phone call. And our last hymn is number 298, I think. Yes, thank you.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving, as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the blue. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Brighten my pathway with radiant speed. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Another time. But our closing words today is from the Reverend Priscilla Murdoch, and she says, as we bring to a close our tribute to the journey we have made through the years, let us be mindful of the enduring bond that keeps us together. Let us remember those who went before and paved a road for us to travel. Let us remember our pioneers with admiration and gratitude, with honor and with joy. Memories are for us to cherish and to share. The future is for us to mold together. Let us be about that work, and I want to thank the transition team for being willing to do this today, and I look forward to talking with you all about this.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.